I said, when you look up at the moon, you see a pretty light, and the moon, good light coming from the moon. But that light is not coming from the moon. See, the moon is only reflecting the light. See, but the moon is just a dead rock. So the moon have doing nothing, just like me. I'm just a reflection, and that's a hard pill to swallow. And you find out you're just a reflection of something else greater than you. My name is Ben Harris. I'm born in North Carolina, a place called Fuquay Varina. I was raised on a farm, and I learned how to use farm equipment and repair farm equipment. So that's how I learned a little bit about mechanics on the farm. So they sent me to school, it's a place near Fuquay Varina called Wake Tech. And that's where I really got into welding. See, one of the things about this kind of work, you can't sit down and figure it out like an engineer. Or a guy sit down and he said, I'm gonna build a house. All this here, you have to work with it. See, it's like you the helper. You don't do the planning, it do the planning. I can have an idea, but the metal do the talking. I can see why people have problems doing the artwork now. So they get ahead of the art. You have to step back outside yourself and let something else take over. I heard a man say in an art interview, it's just like a bird building a nest, you know. The bird that knows what to do, you know. Well, this is a wheel from old farm equipment. And this wheel, I think is about 100 years old. These things, this is what they call goats. Some guy, some kid or something, said that looked like a goat. And that's when I started calling them goats. So these the goats are the farmers around the wheel. So that's where this comes from. I use one of the diamonds for the eyes, cut them out. Then, see like the ear, this is a part of a diamond, half of it. So everything is made out of the wire except the nose and the mouth. So anybody can do it. You can do one of these just with a grinder. This is something I made when I was at the machine shop. This is probably the second or the third piece. I went with the guy to the junkyard, and it was an old transmission. And I just took the guts out and used the frame, used the outside for a head. So I just started putting scrap together. This might help somebody else that, you know, to do some work. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people out there can do it, but they ain't got the material, and they think you have to have something to bend the material. You know what I mean? These pieces right here came from this. Other people could do the same kind of work, but if they thinking like I used to think, how in the world is I'm gonna get this thing to bend? You have to look at the material and see what you can get out of it. Therefore, anybody can do it that don't have a lot of money to buy material. Big factories got machines to do it. But you can get it after the factory throw it away. This gun was made out of simple pieces. This was an old ball that goes on the back of a car which you pull a toe. This was the part that goes on a sink. See, that's the piece. Just put them together and it looked like a chamber. But you just have to find the parts and make them work out. But it's true. So you look up, you see the moon. So I'm just a reflection of this going on. See? You have to get to that center. See? And once you get to that point, everything runs in order. If we're out of order, we can't do it. See, I couldn't do this if I ain't real worried. I probably do like this. big time professional artist. That's true. And the man said Vincent, he was a great artist and he committed suicide. See what all that greatness he had, he lived in conflict because he didn't understand the principles, you know. So the key is find your orbit, find your order, and stay there. Because if one get out of order, it's going to be a conflict. After the 60s, I ended up in a machine shop in Hollywood, California. I was there about 3 years before '84 Olympics started. And they had a contest, people making art for the Olympics. But I didn't have no contact with artists. I didn't think I was an artist. I just did a piece in the shop. That's a picture of the first piece I did. After the Olympics, I just put it in the back of the shop and got about it. And one day, this art dealer, he got in contact with me. He said, if anything you make, he'll buy it. So that's really how it started. And the art dealer, he had a show scheduled, but he had to cancel it and show it on another date. And it was the same date that I had to come back to North Carolina to see my mother. So I went at the show. They look back at it, back then it wasn't that important. Because to me it was just something to do, like a job, you know. So when he said it was a show, it was just like going to another job. But I understand today. See, because I started meeting people that liked it. I hadn't met people like that, you know. So the more people I met, the more I understood. And they explained to me, see. Because if you're not exposed to that, and the people interested in that, you know, that's what I try to get other people to see now. Because I run into people every day just like me. All they know, I asked my cousin, I said, what you think of that? And he said, that's all I see is a piece of metal. He can't see nothing, you know. And it was a time I was like that. Well, this was my TV. TV went out, so I decided to make something out of it. I learned a lot about art from PBS. That's my favorite station. They have a lot of documentaries about the most important network it is. See, because anybody can watch it. You don't have to have cable or nothing. And you learn some about the world. And you find out America ain't the only place in the world. There's a big world out there, you know. I moved back here in '88. I had a motorcycle and that's all I did was rode my bike all the time. And I rode my bike from California. And when I moved back here, I told my brother, I said, oh, I got my bike and my tools. And that's all I had. And I moved down in the country where we at now. This here was a wooded area. I built this place with scrap metal. What was left over on the job. See, the thing, everything evolves. I just didn't, wham, do it. That's why I started in that little small place over there. That's the first shop. Then I built onto it. And onto it. See, it's involved. I started in a tobacco barn. This is in the country. So, I mean, where you find that spot? A lot of artists find that spot. Cause I know a guy from Japan. I had a documentary about him. He was great. He did a lot of commission work, and he was going crazy. So he said, forget it. He went back to Japan and got into the flow. His work was coming from him, and he was at peace. But you try to work for what comes from other people, it's conflict. That's why I left Hollywood. Because it push you. You know, some people can handle it, and I couldn't. So it's easy work, but you have to be at peace. Well, if you've been around like me, you done seen some of all kinds of people. See, all you got to do is observe a human being and you see it all, you know. Even yourself, you know. When you observe yourself, you see it. Everybody is in a different mood sometimes. Most people don't like to look at themselves, but if you get out there in society, you see some of everything. And I did a lot of traveling, you know. And one of the things when I was in California, I hung out at Venice Beach. And people, if you ever been to California, you've been to Venice Beach in the 70s and the 80s. There's all kind of people there. So I'm just saying, anybody can use the technique if you want to. It's simple. People have relationships. And I said, do the man need the woman or do the woman need the man? And the answer comes back, do the moon need the earth or do the earth need the moon? See, if he stays in his orbit, everything works good. If the earth stays in his orbit, everything works good. And everything is in perfect union. See, and whatever put it there is in charge. See, there's no conflict. The only conflict is man. I remember I watching Star Trek and they went to some planet and these guys with the big heads and big brains, they were trying to fix man. And finally they said, get off of my planet. Man was the only creature in the universe that could solve the problem. That crazy can't be solved. You have to live with it. You can't solve that equation. Well, these two guys are my favorite. How this got started was the guys that used to work with me, my helpers in the job, they was from Honduras. And we went down and had fun, you know. It was a nice place. It brought me back to when I was living in the country on the farm. See, I stayed there about a month. And I got to know the people. And just before I got ready to leave, I went down to the beach with one of the guys that he's something like a councilman in the village. And we went to breakfast and we were drinking coffee. I asked him, I said, well, I had a nice time at this place. I said, anything I can do to help y'all? And he dropped the bomb on me. He took me to the school and they didn't have no ceiling fan. And the schools didn't have no windows and all it was a block building. And he said, the state don't give you nothing. Give them 2 sacks of beans, 2 sacks of corn. So he said, if you could, when you get back to America, can you get some ceiling fans for the school? So when I got back home, I said, well, I can do some artwork to make the money. See, I had lost interest in just about, but they gave me the interest to start back. But in between that trip, I had a chance to think a lot because I had cancer. It helped me reflect back. And I seen the situation of people was in and the situation I was in. I didn't have no problem. Well, really, I had never did nothing at that level to help anybody, you know. It surprised me, because I was telling some of the guys, and they said, well, you can't help people in foreign countries, you got to be somebody like Oprah Winfrey. So that's all they know, you know. It kind of surprised me that I could, you know, help the people. They help the school, the kids. I went to Home Depot, and a little fan is like the brain spinning. And you look around and you see people running around, including me. Don't know what the tools to get, can't make your mind up, you know what I mean? And they got so much stuff, your mind get to spinning. So that's where this comes from. And that little fan is supposed to be the brain turning. My artwork mostly, I do it for me, not financially, because like the nurse told me that I have to do something to keep myself going. And I'm a diabetic too. So I said, why use my energy running to the gym and working out in the gym where I can use it to do this? Maybe it'll help somebody, you know. So either way, if I don't sell a piece, I'm okay, because I'm helping my health. And she told me, said, they run studies and they found out if you don't use your brain, it'll shrink. So a person that wants to do something, he can do it. They used to say you had to have a lot of money. See, and that's what I thought. I thought only rich people did work like that, was creative. I didn't know it came from the person. See, it didn't come from how much money you have. I know you can have better tools, but you can use what tools you got. And I just had a screwdriver, drill, 10 slip, and I picked up the sheet metal off the jar. But now I know different. I have read art magazines where people started doing this kind of work at 70 years old. See, it's just like anytime you can tap into it, it don't make no difference how old you are. It's that like an energy. You tap into it, you can do it. It's still already formed. Ain't nothing I can do with it but art it. See, all this stuff will form for me. All I got to do, see, I'm not the creator. I'm just putting it in order. See, everything is here that I need. So I reckon that's what life is. Life is everything there we need.